They thought Diana was gone. They thought her truth was buried forever. But now, a secret recording, hidden for over 25 years, has surfaced, and it's sending shockwaves through Buckingham Palace. In it, Diana speaks with a clarity and heartbreak that exposes Camilla's betrayal, Charles's lies, and the reason William and Harry were silenced. This isn't a conspiracy. This is a reckoning, and what's on this tape may forever shatter the royal family's public facade. The Royal Gala begins. The Royal Gala, held on June 14, 2025 at Buckingham Palace, was intended to be a dazzling event, celebrating the Commonwealth's Arts and Legacy Initiative. Guests began arriving by 6:30 p.m., including global dignitaries, celebrities, and extended royal family members. However, behind the polished smiles and regal gowns, a silent storm was brewing. Camilla Parker Bowles, now Queen Consort, expected to be the central figure of the night, gracefully reclaiming her space as a modern royal matriarch. But tensions lingered, especially after recent headlines questioning her influence. Just a week prior, Princess Catherine had resumed royal duties following her private recovery from an undisclosed medical procedure. Her return sparked headlines and public admiration, putting her back in the limelight. At 41 years old, Catherine represents a new kind of royalty, graceful yet relatable. The crowd buzzed as soon as she stepped out in a shimmering Alexander McQueen gown, styled with Princess Diana's iconic Cambridge lover's knot tiara, last worn by Diana in 1996. The symbolic choice sent shockwaves before a single word had been spoken. Inside the grand ballroom, King Charles III, aged 76, stood proudly with Camilla beside him. Yet all eyes drifted toward Catherine, who, for the first time, directly bypassed Queen Camilla during her formal greeting. Observers noticed her subtle curtsy to King Charles, then a slight nod toward Camilla, omitting the usual deep royal curtsy expected between senior female royals. This small gesture, happening around 7:15 p.m., was quickly picked up by royal watchers and instantly ignited speculation across media outlets and social platforms. Camilla's reaction was visible. A frozen smile, averted gaze, and a subtle stiffening of posture. In that single moment, what was supposed to be her triumph became a public spectacle of disrespect. Guests whispered. William, standing nearby, maintained composure, but noticeably leaned toward Catherine afterward, suggesting the gesture had been deliberate. The ballroom, filled with opulence and tradition, had turned into a silent battlefield of royal dynamics. The press would later dub it the bow that broke tradition. While most assumed this was simply a slight lapse in protocol, those familiar with royal dynamics knew better. What Catherine did was subtle, deliberate, and deeply symbolic, rooted in years of unresolved tension, media scrutiny, and Diana's long shadow over the monarchy. But what happened next during the presentation ceremony would confirm that this was no coincidence. It wasn't just a missed curtsy. It was the beginning of a calculated sequence of public power moves that left Camilla stunned and exposed. Catherine's power move. At 8:00 p.m., during the gala's keynote presentations, Princess Catherine joined a panel of senior royals and international leaders on stage. As the spotlight hit her, the brilliance of Diana's Cambridge lover's knot tiara, worn for the first time in nearly 3 decades, sparked gasps in the crowd. The last time the public saw this exact piece was when Diana wore it in 1996 for a charity ball shortly before her death. For Catherine to wear it now, at this gala, and in Camilla's presence, was no accident. This tiara, gifted to Diana by Queen Elizabeth in 1981, symbolized her role as the people's princess. For years, it was kept in the royal vault, reportedly untouched out of respect. Now, Catherine resurrected its symbolism, instantly reminding the public of the late princess's elegance and grace. More than a fashion statement, it was a declaration. A statement that Diana's legacy was alive, and it would not be erased by palace maneuvering or rewritten histories favoring Camilla's rise. Camilla, watching from her designated seat near the throne dais, appeared visibly unsettled. Lip readers later reported her whispering to Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, questioning why Catherine had access to the piece. Multiple sources confirmed that Prince William, now Prince of Wales, had given his wife full access to Diana's personal collection as a tribute to his mother's memory and as a reminder of what the royal family owes her. This decision was reportedly made following Diana's 1991 recorded interview, which resurfaced weeks earlier. The impact was immediate. Social media platforms lit up with posts comparing the two women. Hashtags like #Princess of Hearts returns, Catherine's Camilla, and #Diana's tiara trended globally. Within 24 hours, multiple tabloids ran covers declaring Catherine's quiet rebellion and Camilla's invisible crown. For royal fans, it felt like justice, like Diana was finally speaking again through the poise and power of her daughter-in-law. As the royal press tried to contain the narrative, whispers of internal fury began to circulate. But it was what happened at the gala's private dinner, when Camilla confronted Catherine, that marked the emotional apex of the evening. Eyewitnesses say it was tense, teary, and humiliating. What had started as a symbolic gesture now unfolded into a personal showdown behind closed doors. But Catherine's response would leave the entire royal family reeling, and the media more hungry than ever for the truth. The private dinner confrontation. After the public ceremonies concluded at 9:00 p.m., senior royals and key guests moved into the palace's white drawing room for a private dinner. With approximately 72 guests, including foreign ambassadors and charity patrons, the space was intimate and ceremonial. Camilla, still reeling from the earlier moments, reportedly requested to be seated closer to King Charles, but instead found herself placed across from Princess Catherine and Prince William, directly facing the woman who had just reignited Diana's legacy. Midway through the meal, at 9:45 p.m., Camilla leaned across the table, visibly upset, and allegedly whispered a curt remark about stunts not befitting a future queen. A stunned silence followed, with William looking up sharply. Catherine, composed and smiling, reportedly responded with a firm tone, saying, "It was never a stunt. It was a tribute." Several attendees confirmed hearing the exchange. One foreign diplomat later told the press that you could feel the tension cut through the silverware. King Charles, seated near the exchange, attempted to diffuse the tension with a toast, but the damage had been done. Photos taken by professional press and leaked later that night showed Camilla looking pale and visibly shaken, while Catherine maintained her serene poise. According to palace insiders, Camilla left the dinner early, around 10:30 p.m., claiming she felt unwell. The next morning, headlines exploded with speculation. Royal showdown, Catherine's tribute or challenge, and Camilla storms out. This dinner marked a breaking point. For years, Camilla worked to reshape her public image, especially after the scandal surrounding Diana's 1995 Panorama interview and Charles's affair. But this event stripped away the palace polish and brought unresolved tensions into public view. Diana's ghost had been revived, not by scandal or leaks, but by grace, symbolism, and unshakable dignity. What no one expected was how fast public opinion would swing. In the days that followed, royal supporters, columnists, and even former staffers began to speak up. Was Catherine intentionally reclaiming Diana's space in the monarchy? Or was this the beginning of a larger struggle for legacy, loyalty, and lineage? As the royal family scrambled to control the press narrative, an unexpected voice, Prince Harry's, entered the conversation from across the Atlantic, adding fuel to a fire that was just getting started. The Queen's jealous gaze. From the moment Catherine, Princess of Wales, stepped onto the Buckingham Palace grand staircase in her Alexander McQueen gown, the mood shifted. The gala, held on May 11, 2025 to honor global climate ambassadors, was meant to be Queen Camilla's night. Yet, it was Catherine's effortless elegance, alongside her supportive husband, Prince William, that captured the attention of not only the press, but even foreign dignitaries. Camilla, seated front row, visibly stiffened as applause swelled when Catherine entered. The Queen's smile faltered, caught on ITV's live feed at 7:43 p.m., prompting immediate speculation online. Throughout the evening, Camilla appeared increasingly rattled. Multiple observers noted that during the Prime Minister's toast, Camilla glanced repeatedly toward Catherine, who remained poised and gracious, even as photographers angled aggressively toward her. Behind the scenes, according to a palace aide, Camilla allegedly asked that Catherine be moved from the head table, a request quickly denied by William, who intervened out of principle. This escalation mirrored the growing tension between the two royal households since King Charles's coronation in May 2023, when Camilla's influence visibly increased. Royal commentators, including Jenny Bond, were quick to point out that Camilla's insecurity around Catherine is not new. Ever since Catherine's appearance at the Earthshot Prize Awards in 2022, where she outshone both Camilla and even Charles himself, there's been a quiet rivalry. According to Tom Bower's 2023 book, Camilla has long felt sidelined by the public's adoration of Diana, and now Catherine, both seen as Queens of Hearts, in contrast to Camilla's more controversial legacy. At the gala, that history exploded into public view. As the gala concluded, Camilla made a sharp early exit at 9:12 p.m., leaving behind whispers and a trail of awkward silences. Royal photographers later confirmed she bypassed the customary farewell circle, a breach of tradition not missed by royal watchers. In contrast, Catherine stayed behind, seen laughing with UN envoys and students from her early years initiative. The symbolism was clear: one woman rising with grace, the other leaving in embarrassment. Transition, 80 words. Camilla's exit didn't just end a humiliating night, it opened a floodgate of public conversation. As press coverage exploded across Europe and America, it became clear this wasn't just a bad evening for the Queen Consort, it was a warning sign of shifting dynamics. But as headlines raged, the real shock came not from the press, but from what happened inside the palace the very next morning, when Charles received a private briefing about the night's events from someone no one expected. Private palace fallout. By 8:07 a.m. the following morning, King Charles was seen arriving early at Clarence House, unusually alone. Palace insiders later confirmed he was briefed not by his private secretary, but by Lady Susan Hussey, the late Queen Elizabeth II's most trusted former lady-in-waiting. Her sudden presence signaled that something serious had occurred. According to insiders, Susan had been contacted by Lord Chamberlain Andrew Parker, who had received multiple complaints from foreign ambassadors about Camilla's early departure and cold demeanor. What troubled Charles most, however, was not just Camilla's behavior, but the growing international chatter about a split within the monarchy. He was presented with media analytics showing that Catherine's appearance had driven over 7 million social media engagements globally, while Camilla's photos barely registered. For a king battling declining approval ratings, especially after Harry's Netflix documentary in 2022 and Andrew's scandals. Such statistics were no small matter. Charles, already under pressure from senior courtiers, knew perception shaped legacy, and Camilla's legacy was slipping fast. Charles reportedly summoned Camilla by 10:00 a.m., asking for a private discussion without staff present. Sources say the conversation was tense and deeply emotional, with Charles expressing frustration over her inability to gracefully share the spotlight. According to a report by Valentine Lowe, Charles emphasized how Diana had once warned him of Camilla's hunger for dominance, and how that hunger now risked alienating William and Catherine, the monarchy's future. The conversation ended with Camilla leaving Clarence's house visibly tearful, her security details stunned by the tone. In the days that followed, a flurry of behind-the-scenes activity revealed the seriousness of the situation. Camilla canceled a planned appearance at the Royal Horticultural Society event on May 14th, citing fatigue. However, insiders say it was damage control. Meanwhile, William and Catherine were photographed walking with their children in Windsor, smiling and at ease, signaling who truly held the public's favor. The palace released no statement, only silence, which said more than words ever could. Camilla's tears didn't stop the tide. The monarchy had survived wars, divorces, abdications, but never a battle between its present and its future so publicly. As the days passed, public opinion became increasingly unforgiving. The Queen's aura cracked, and in the shadows of her humiliation, whispers emerged. Rumors of Princess Diana's final letters, recordings, and reflections at being passed quietly to William. What came next would turn that quiet tension into global shock. Diana's words resurface. In mid-June 2025, just weeks after the gala, British journalist Rosamund Pike broke a story in The Times that reignited the royal world. A set of unreleased audio tapes from Princess Diana, recorded in October 1996, had been quietly handed to Prince William by Paul Burrell, Diana's former butler. The timing was explosive. In the tapes, Diana directly addressed her fear that Camilla would poison the public's perception of the crown, and urged her sons to never be silenced by tradition. The tapes had been recorded weeks before Diana's famous Panorama interview, and were considered too volatile to release at the time. Burrell had allegedly kept them hidden for nearly 29 years, fearing retaliation. But according to sources close to the Spencer family, William had requested any remaining personal artifacts of Diana in the months following Charles's coronation. The discovery of the tapes, insiders claim, deeply moved William and confirmed long-held suspicions about Camilla's maneuverings within the royal court. While the tapes were never officially released to the public, excerpts were leaked to Sky News, sparking an instant media firestorm. One particularly damning line had Diana stating, "Camilla was always the one pulling the strings. Charles may wear the crown, but she wears his spine." The quote was played over 12 million times within 24 hours on X, formerly Twitter, triggering debates from BBC panels to Australian morning shows. Public opinion turned sharply once again, with over 62% of Britons in a YouGov poll saying Camilla should reduce her public role. The tapes also revealed that Diana had feared her sons would one day be pressured into silence, smiling beside the ones who destroyed their mother. In private, William reportedly told friends he was shaken but not surprised, and that it put everything into perspective. Prince Harry, still estranged from the family, issued no comment, but sources in California confirmed he had been sent a digital copy. Camilla, meanwhile, was said to be distraught and devastated, refusing all press for 2 weeks. Diana's voice, silenced in 1997, now echoed louder than ever. What began as a single night of humiliation became an unstoppable wave of reckoning for Camilla, and a moment of clarity for William. But what would the monarchy do with this firestorm? As Camilla retreated from public life and Charles faced mounting pressure, Catherine stepped forward. And what she did next stunned even those closest to her, turning a family crisis into a national turning point. The chosen silence. Prince William's noticeable absence from the royal gala on April 26, 2025, was perhaps the loudest statement of the evening. While the public was initially told he had a scheduling conflict, insiders quickly leaked that William had refused to attend following an intense disagreement with Camilla the night before. The gala, held at Buckingham Palace, was meant to be a united front for the royal family, but his absence was deeply symbolic, fueling speculation that his loyalty lies with Catherine amid mounting tensions. This isn't the first time William has signaled his discomfort with Camilla's growing influence. Back in February 2022, William reportedly clashed with his father, King Charles, over granting Camilla the Queen Consort title. That internal rift spilled into public view when William skipped Camilla's coronation rehearsal, citing prior commitments. The gala now seemed like a continuation of his silent protest, with sources revealing he found Camilla's recent actions disrespectful to his wife and late mother. Royal watchers pointed out that the absence came just weeks after Camilla revoked several traditional honors previously associated with Princess Diana, including her name being dropped from the upcoming Royal Archives restoration exhibit. William, who had worked with the curators for over a year, was said to be disgusted when he found out last minute and threatened to pull Diana's artifacts from the collection entirely. This led to a rare direct conversation between William and Camilla, which reportedly ended in a shouting match overheard by staff. Public sentiment overwhelmingly favored William's stance. A YouGov poll conducted May 1, 2025, found that 68% of respondents believed William was right to skip the event. On social media, hashtags like #IStandWithCatherine and #NotMyQueen trended for hours, drawing attention to the family feud. The public's sympathy was clearly with the Wales household, not just because of Catherine's grace, but also because of the long-standing memory of Princess Diana and her struggles with Camilla in the 1980s and 1990s. As William's absence sent shockwaves through royal circles, it was Catherine's composure under pressure that defined the evening. But while the future queen carried herself with poise, the royal family's internal fractures were becoming harder to ignore. And as the night continued, the whispers grew louder about what really happened behind those gilded doors, and how King Charles responded to this very public humiliation of his wife. What followed next would not only shift royal tradition, but leave the monarchy standing on even shakier ground. King Charles's quiet fury behind closed doors. The aftermath of the gala wasn't confined to headlines. It exploded behind palace walls. King Charles, who had hoped the gala would re-establish unity, was reportedly furious about how the evening unfolded. On April 27, 2025, palace aides confirmed that Charles summoned a private emergency meeting with both Camilla and Catherine, where tensions escalated beyond protocol. Charles was described by sources as visibly agitated, particularly at Camilla's inability to hold the family together, blaming her for stirring unnecessary drama. Charles had long balanced his loyalty to Camilla with his duty to preserve the family's public image. However, following the gala, his stance reportedly shifted. Sources claim he expressed regret over previously elevating Camilla to Queen Consort in 2023, a move that had already been controversial among the public. In the meeting, he allegedly told her that she had lost the room and would have to make amends with both William and Catherine. The palace remained silent officially, but leaks from within confirmed that Charles felt cornered. One particular source highlighted how Charles compared the situation to the fallout after Princess Diana's 1995 Panorama interview, suggesting the institution could not survive another public perception collapse. Charles, who is already facing declining approval ratings, down to 48% in early 2025, understood that the monarchy's future depended more on William and Catherine than on preserving Camilla's pride. Discussions reportedly began about reducing Camilla's public duties, citing health-related fatigue, though many saw it as a political maneuver. After the firestorm inside the palace walls, all eyes turned to how Camilla would recover, or retaliate. With mounting pressure, growing isolation, and whispers of reassignment swirling through court, Camilla's influence was starting to crumble. But nothing could prepare her for the final blow. A decision from the top that not only stripped her of a prestigious role, but served as a public acknowledgement of everything that had gone wrong. And the person who quietly rose as the victor? Princess Catherine. Stripped of power. Just days after the Royal Gala debacle, on May 3, 2025, Buckingham Palace issued a quiet but devastating press release. Queen Camilla would be stepping down from 5 major patronages, including the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, NSPCC, an institution closely tied to Diana's legacy. Though the statement cited reallocation of duties, insiders confirmed it was a calculated demotion, orchestrated to de-escalate tension and shift the monarchy's public image. The move was widely interpreted as damage control. The NSPCC, which Diana championed in the 1990s, had expressed discomfort over Camilla's increasingly visible role, especially after reports surfaced that she tried to rebrand its campaign messaging. Sources revealed that Catherine had privately objected to Camilla's new initiatives that sidelined Diana's original work. The decision to revoke Camilla's patronage followed weeks of mounting pressure from donors and trustees who viewed her involvement as out of alignment with the charity's values. As Camilla's roles disappeared one by one, what remained was a woman isolated by her own ambition. The Royal Gala had become the trigger, but the deeper cause was years in the making. And just when it seemed she might fade quietly into the background, another revelation surfaced, a personal betrayal involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle that reopened old wounds and showed just how far the royal divide had grown. It was the final twist in a story already teetering on collapse. Meghan and Harry weigh in. While the British press focused on the fallout in London over in California, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle issued a statement that stunned observers. In a joint interview with NBC on May 7, 2025, the couple revealed they had been aware of growing tensions for months and had previously warned Princess Catherine about Camilla's attempts to reshape Diana's legacy. The Sussexes claimed that many of the current issues stemmed from unfinished business, dating back to the Oprah interview in 2021. Meghan specifically alleged that Camilla had once tried to block a scholarship initiative honoring Diana's name back in 2019, calling it too emotionally driven. She shared emails showing palace aides edited her speech drafts, allegedly on Camilla's orders. The implication was clear. Camilla had not only opposed Diana's legacy privately, but had actively undermined efforts by both Catherine and Meghan to honor it. The British press was thrown into chaos once again, and Camilla's approval ratings dropped by 12% within 48 hours. Harry's commentary was even more direct. He stated that while he had accepted Camilla as his father's wife, he never saw her as a true member of Diana's family. His remarks drew sharp contrasts between Catherine's genuine integrity and Camilla's institutional ambition. He called the Royal Gala fiasco a turning point and publicly thanked Catherine for protecting the heart of the family in a post that went viral, amassing over 3 million likes on Instagram. This unexpected support from Meghan and Harry added another layer of credibility to the public's mounting disdain for Camilla. Analysts believe it was the final nail in the coffin, essentially ending any hopes Camilla had of regaining influence. Meanwhile, Catherine stood not only as a symbol of dignity, but as a unifier between the old monarchy and its modern face. The royal family, once again, found its narrative dominated by Diana, through the women she inspired. Camilla may have worn the crown, but it was Princess Catherine who wore the people's trust. From that fateful gala to the reverberations across continents, the clash of royal legacies left no one untouched. With William standing silently by her side and Harry and Meghan breaking their silence, the message was clear. Diana's spirit had never left. And Camilla's misstep at the royal gala wasn't just a scandal. It was the beginning of a reckoning. As the world listens to Diana's voice echo across the decades, one thing is clear. This was never just royal gossip. This was a woman silenced, betrayed, and now finally heard. Camilla's image lies in ruins. William's silence is deafening, and Harry's exile suddenly makes sense. The monarchy may survive, but not unchanged. Because once the people hear Diana's truth, there's no turning back. This isn't history. It's justice finally catching up with royalty.